Hey everybody, it's Sherri from Green Nurse, Living Your Best Life. And today I have a special episode. I'm sitting here in my living room with my mother, and we are talking about cannabis and health and wellness and stigma and her journey and my journey and how this all came full circle over the past couple of years.
Absolutely.
It's been an incredible journey.
Yes, it has. And
Right?
I'm glad I jumped on the bus.
She jumped on the cannabis. So basically, you know, Mom, we were just talking about, like, why did I start using cannabis?
Oh, you were so sick, my darling.
Because I was so sick. Right?
You
I
were
enjoyed
so
it
sick, my
recreationally a
darling.
long time ago. But at this point in time in my life, I was really sick. 2012, I got extremely sick and I almost died. And it started me on the trajectory of multiple pharmaceuticals, one side effect after another, one complication after another, one medical problem after another.
Oh, so true.
And it just kept accumulating, and I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker,
So
and nothing was working.
So sad to see and hear, and 'cause you want the best for your children, and to see my daughter
Going from high functioning to not functioning at all.
crawling on the ground to go to the bathroom from her
Right.
bed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And look at this wonderful woman now.
Oh,
She's done so
thanks.
much for so many people, and she always has been very intelligent and a doer and a go-getter and not afraid to take on a new challenge. And it was a challenge for her to get better.
It was a big challenge because I kept thinking to myself, what did I do wrong? You know, one of the kindest things that someone said to me was, "You didn't do anything wrong, Sherri. This is just,
Yeah.
it is what it is,
yeah.
right?" And
Love that statement.
And how can I get out of this? What can I do differently? You know, and I was following all the doctor's orders, and then I always have been taking care of myself outside the box using alternative holistic, you know, healing modalities, including nutrition and exercise and movement and prayer and meditation and energy work
And acupuncture
and acupuncture.
chiropractic.
And then when I got sick, none of that mattered. It didn't work anymore. You know, and I didn't understand why. And you saw me.
Yes, I did.
Sick
I
and
saw
suffering.
you before you were actually diagnosed, like a day or two before you were taken to the hospital, how sick you were and how I felt frustrated because there was nothing I could do to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Have some chicken soup. I remember making you chicken soup.
Yeah.
Drink ginger ale, but
Yeah.
none of that worked.
Yep. So we got the diagnoses, which was horrific, but it landed me in the hospital for a while, and I wasn't absorbing nutrients. It was a gastrointestinal infection, and one thing after another. You know, I ended up getting out of the hospital, but still, I wasn't fixed.
No.
You know, and you know,
Oh, you're still having
Pain.
such episodes of pain, excuse me.
yes, severe chronic pain, abdominal pain, and gastrointestinal symptoms, and then that affected everything else. It affected my immune system, where I developed an autoimmune condition, and then that affected anxiety and depression, and I became agoraphobic. I didn't want to leave the house.
That's right, I forgot about that. Yes,
Right?
which
Wasn't that
was
horrible?
So unlike you, yeah.
I know. It's
My
developing social
social daughter,
anxiety,
yeah.
right? I mean, you would never know now.
Right.
But I was circling the drain of despair.
Right.
I pretty much
It
is
was
how
spiraling downward.
spiraling downward and getting to the point where some days I wish I didn't wake up. And that's really hard. You know, knowing that I had everything to live for, knowing that, but not feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's scary. That's a scary place to be. And you know,
Awful.
and it was the glaring pain. And my
It
inability,
didn't let up. It
it just didn't stop. And I can see why people that have chronic pain are depressed. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, and so what ended up happening was I needed to figure a way out. You know, and I knew medical cannabis was legal. I had enjoyed it recreationally in the past. One of my old hippie nurses, we'll talk about this, came over and you know, we were talking about it, and
she was older than you too, wasn't
oh
she?
yeah, I just met with her.
Oh, okay.
She's 70
Yeah.
herself,
yeah,
and
okay.
she brought over some cannabis and I smoked and I got immediate relief. And I said, and it was as if, like, immediately, my head cracked open or like a walnut, and I was pulled out of the trajectory of sickness and illness, and I was able to look at things from a different perspective. And everything
you can't concentrate when you're in pain.
No,
All you're doing is trying to, and frustrating yourself because you can't, think clearly and get to the other side because you're just so in pain that it's just overwhelming and all-consuming.
It was horrific. And so basically pulling out of the trajectory of sickness and illness through cannabis, it affected me mentally first. It eliminated the pain. It took the pain right down. That's when I said, I have to figure this out. I need to figure out how to make this work for me. And I delved into, I got my medical card, I delved into the plant, I delved into the science, I became a kitchen witch, and I really learned how to make cannabis work for me as medicine so I could get back to living my high quality of life.
Best life.
Right, my best life. Single mother of 3, having such a full life, going from high functioning to not functioning.
And slowly creeping back up.
Right, and grieving and trying to process all the emotion around loss, because it was a loss. Having a wonderful job as a nurse in the Boston hospitals for all these years, and then not being able to do it anymore, not being able to take care of myself.
Never mind your kids.
Never mind my kids.
Wonderful mother, but I mean, you could barely take care of yourself. You couldn't take care of yourself.
Couldn't. And so I jumped on the cannabis.
Yay!
Cannabis. And
Get
I
on
learned,
the bus.
and I figured it out. And I remember sitting there, and I shared this story with other people multiple times, that I sat there with the books and the weed and the joints and the bongs and the edibles and the this and the that and all of it, and I just delved right into it and said to myself, gosh, if I can figure this out, you can call me the green nurse.
You were always very smart, and you didn't just accept things, even as a child. You had to know why, you wanted to know the reason for, and this has just continued into your adult years. You're still that way. Educate myself.
Educate, right? So the green nurse was born, and the green nurse is about whole health. It is about the entourage of health and wellness, focusing not just on one thing, but multiple things. Bio, psycho, social, spiritual aspects of healing to manage symptoms of chronic illness, using cannabis as one of those tools.
Thank God.
And Mom, you grew up in the 60s.
60s, yes.
What was your cannabis? Because we didn't see eye to eye all the time on it, and I think it was just because of the stigma.
Well, not in the 60s though. In the 60s.
Well, in the 60s, I was a baby.
Yeah, you were born in the 60s, but I was 22 when I got married, 23 when I had Sharon, and then 25 when I had my second daughter. So I wasn't into that scene at all. I was more, the mother in the neighborhood with the other mothers wheeling their babies around and getting out for fresh air, not thinking of I felt good too then, and not thinking of, weed, pot. No one called it cannabis then. It was always weed, pot, hash, whatever those other words were.
Right. Right. Reefer Madness campaign.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts about it?
Then?
Yeah.
Oh, those people.
So all those people.
I was very judgmental.
You were very judgmental?
Of all those people at Woodstock and out in California that were potheads.
Right.
And, well, it just wasn't for me. I mean, obviously, with the lifestyle I was
leading.
Because
you're associated, like you had such a...
negative association.
Negative association with it.
Yeah. Because not me, not my friends. I'm glad I'm not part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was not a positive thing at all. I was very critical of
anyone that used
cannabis.
Yeah,
and I really didn't know anyone that really used it. None of my acquaintances used it then. I know there was a lot of people my age then that did, but they were not in the same life circle that I was in.
Right. And so how did you feel, I have to ask,
I'm rolling my eyes,
when I told you that I was going to be using cannabis?
I was appalled. I thought, oh God, she's so smart. She's so well educated. Why would she want to smoke this stuff and be around those people?
And those people are part of my healers. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
I told you that
exactly.
story.
Which one?
Of how when I first started using cannabis, I was feeling so good that I was feeling weird that I felt so good. I was
this
judging,
is when you first started.
Yeah.
After you being so ill.
After being so ill and starting to feel really good into getting into the groove, into using it and to really feel positive and happy, I started judging that. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm a pothead. But I'm like,
Including
wait a minute.
your mother.
So, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
I was even judging myself for using cannabis because I was like, I'm feeling too good.
Yeah, what's going on here?
What's going on? Is this a bad thing? Maybe I shouldn't feel too good. Maybe right? So you start to question. I started to stigmatize and judge myself for feeling good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Right?
Crazy. Yep.
Why do we all want to suffer so much? Why is this a country in a world of suffering?
Yeah.
We need to take each other off the cross.
Yeah.
And we need to help
I
one
like
another
that.
and be kind to one another.
And non-judgmental.
Guide. What are we doing? We're actually all walking one another home.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Like that. Yeah.
Take my hand. We're just going to be guiding one another and walking one another home.
Yeah.
And we need to do it in a way without judgment because there is so much suffering and so much pain in the world.
And so many people are so out of it because of the pain, because of the pharmaceuticals that they've been taking for God knows how long.
Yeah. It's just been an incredible ride. So you weren't into it at first when you saw that
Yeah. I was worried.
You were worried.
I was worried about you. I just said, oh, geez.
But when did
the gateway
shift?
drug?
Oh, the gateway drug.
Yeah.
See, that's the interesting thing. It's an exit drug. It got me off of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So not only did cannabis help me get me off of our pharmaceuticals, but it managed pain. First, it bridged the gap. Cannabis was a tool that bridged the gap from what I wasn't getting from traditional medicine. Once I started to feel better, I was able to incorporate other wellness tools into my life, which allowed me to start cutting back and weaning off of these pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So being pharmaceutical free is such freedom. It's unbelievable.
And being of an older generation than you, it was almost like the doctor's always right. He must know what he's talking about. He wouldn't prescribe this for me if it wasn't going to help me.
Right.
Well, it didn't help.
Yeah. So and that's so basically cannabis has made a huge impact in my life. It has given me my life back. It is allowing me to live the best version of myself. It's allowing me to be a nurse again, to be involved in life and my children and my family.
Yep. Because you were just sort of closing in and shutting the whole world out. You were closing into yourself and shutting the world out because you just couldn't deal with how badly you felt.
And then here we are, Mamacita, my mama.
Yeah, my special
She's on
daughter.
The cannabis now. Right?
Believe it or not.
So,
yes.
well, that was it. It took education.
I know.
Right? Education, you saw the transformation that I went through. And what was it finally that made you decide, I'm going to try cannabis?
The pain that I was in.
Describe the pain.
The chronic, daily, nightly, 24-hour-a-day pain from my back after having 2 back surgeries that were supposed to have cured me, which I guess if you have a broken bone in your back and need bone surgery, they fix that break. But I was still in pain, awful pain. And I was prescribed narcotics, and I kept saying they're not working for me, and they weren't. Even strong ones. And I thought, if they're not working for me, why am I taking them? I'm not taking this stuff anymore. Yeah. And I reached out to Sherri. I've always had respect for her opinion, for her choices in life, for her...
That's so nice. Even though you haven't agreed with me, she's respected me.
Yeah, I have, most of the time. And she sort of fulfilled a dream of mine. I always wanted to be a nurse and have my daughter become a nurse. I was sort of living, because I love medical stuff. And if I was living 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, I would have become definitely a nurse or a nurse practitioner or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So finally the pain got
so bad. Yeah. And I was talking to you and calling you and saying, what can I do? And you said, you've got to try this. Well, all I thought of cannabis was smoking, inhaling, vaping. I never liked smoking. So I thought, I can't do that. And my daughter said to me, there are other ways.
Smoke.
Hmm?
You don't have to smoke.
No, I know it.
You
don't.
To use cannabis, and you don't have to get high.
Right.
For cannabis to work.
Yeah. I've never been high. I take the kind that is for pain relief.
Right.
The CBD.
CBD,
right.
And you take THCA.
What's
THCA is the raw plant. It's the
okay.
acidic form of THC.
Okay.
So when you have the cannabis plant, none of it is intoxicating until you heat it up.
Oh.
And out of the plant, there's only
that's why they smoke it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's only
or eat it.
one part of the plant. Only one part of the plant is intoxicating, and that's THC. And it's only intoxicating when it's heated. So the THCA is the raw plant, and it's a really good COX-2 inhibitor. It's a really good anti-inflammatory.
Which I really need.
Yeah, and so does CBD. So those oils seem to be working well for you. You also have the creams and the lotions.
Yes. Oh, the cream I put on my back every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And how long have I been taking
a couple months
my oil?
Now.
Has it been a couple of months since the summer?
So what happened when you stopped? Remember you ran out? What happened?
10 days ago. I live in Connecticut. Sherri's here in Massachusetts. And it's a 3-hour ride. And I wasn't up to driving 3 hours without it being so much pain driving. I'd have to stop every half hour to move, to walk. So I said, I'm going to see you at Thanksgiving. I'll be okay. Well, after about 3 days, the pain was just so severe again. Yeah. So severe. So I'm thrilled to be here
to
get my oil.
CBD oil,
yes.
THCA oil.
Yes. Makes such a difference. Yeah. And I was very skeptical. If traditional medicine wasn't working, how was this plant, this evil plant that I thought about, how was that ever going to work?
Part that's interesting. That's a good question.
What?
The reason why, if you think about, and it has to do with retrograde signaling, how the plant communicates with our bodies 2 ways. So what it actually does is, it goes in and it's an agonist or an antagonist.
Okay.
So it does one of 2 things.
Yeah.
So it either tells our body to do something, or it tells our body to stop doing something.
That makes sense.
So I love the whole terminology of the intelligence of the plant goes where it needs to go and does what it needs to do to bring homeostasis and balance back to our body.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Right?
It's an amazing statement. It's an amazing fact.
Yeah. And so we all have an endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system is the largest neurotransmitter receptor signaling system in our body. And what it does is its goal and purpose is to bring homeostasis or balance to all other systems in our body at the same time.
Balance. That is the key.
That is the key.
For balance. Me, the key word, yeah.
And a lot of time, what do your friends think? Do you have some friends that are using cannabis oil now?
Yes, I do. Some used it before me, and then 2 of my very good friends have started using it because they've been in chronic pain for a variety of reasons. And they say it's amazing. I said, I know it's amazing. I know. I mean, not to be constantly focusing on pain and thinking, what can you do and what you can't do, and getting discouraged. Discouraged was a big thing for me.
Discouragement?
Yeah, with the other stuff, and depression. That nothing was working. Was I going to be like this the rest of my life?
And then, so basically your functional decline, so basically the chronic pain caused you to have a functional decline, which then caused you to have a mental and emotional decline.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It affects,
right.
Dale Buckman has been doing research for her doctorate program, and there is this very strong correlation between chronic pain and depression.
I can attest to that, and I can certainly see rationally why.
And the part that's interesting, too, is a lot of people will say, when you talk about depression, they'll say that they're not depressed, but when they answer the questions, it shows a glaring depression, and they're so used to feeling horrible that they think it's normal.
Well, I know.
You know, and feeling horrible is not normal.
Right. Well, I'm so glad you've done all this research and got involved with this, especially with your medical background. You know the pros and cons of a lot of things that we should or should not put in our body.
Yeah. Well, this is Dale and I. You know, when we work with patients, and we do talk about the biopsychosocial, spiritual aspects of healing. Every decision and choice you make is either promoting health or feeding disease. So that's so what am I doing right now? If I'm going to pick up this cup of green tea, and drink this, is this helping me or not? So it's really becoming aware and having
what you're putting in your body.
What you're putting in your body. And making a conscious decision as to what you do now is going to impact how you feel later.
Yeah.
And that goes with everything, all aspects and tools of healing. So what else, Mom?
Oh gosh.
Tell me, what was the biggest thing that you had to overcome when you decided to try cannabis? Like, what
the
was
stigma?
Tell me
stigma.
Tell me what it felt like. What did the stigma feel like to you? Were you embarrassed or ashamed or secret or didn't want some people to know? Like what was the stigma around it for you?
Well, the stigma is, I'm going back in the past to potheads.
So you were afraid someone might think you were a pothead?
Pothead, yes. And just my generation, I guess. Although I'm probably pretty naive about what my generation been doing all along. But I've always been, how do I say this, not conservative thinking. Yeah, conservative thinking. Always wanted to do the right thing, didn't want to do anything wrong. And I put cannabis, unfortunately, in that category.
Right.
Any drugs except pharmaceutical drugs.
So pharmaceutical drugs were okay.
Okay, yes, recreation not. It's for me. That's
right.
For me.
But now we know that cannabis is for medicinal use. There's 3 ways to use cannabis: medicinally, recreationally, and irresponsibly.
I love that statement. Yeah.
And it's all the consciousness that you have when you go to consume it, and that's what we focus on. We focus on helping people to live their best life and to use cannabis as a tool for optimal health and wellness, to relieve symptoms of chronic disease, and relieve suffering and improve their quality of life.
You know what I love now is I still see quite a few doctors, orthopedic doctors and gastroenterologists, and as all of you may know, they always ask what medications you're taking. And now, the first one, or the second one, I sort of say them together, is my thyroid medication and cannabis oil. And these doctors have known me, some of them for years, and they say, that's great. Is it working for you? And I said, yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Keep on it.
Because they don't want to have to whip out their prescription pad and keep writing pharmaceuticals.
Right, and I'm so glad they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, really. If there's anyone else out there that's watching, what message, like people that are your age, that are afraid, or
I know,
like what can you say to someone that you would wish they had said to you to encourage you to try
this? You need to try this. And these are, my age, conservative people, and I have told so many of my friends about this who've been suffering for years with arthritis, depression, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, even a friend who has lupus. Try it. I think they were also afraid, they were going to get high. They didn't want to be high. They were afraid of being high.
And like we said, right? You don't have to get high.
No, I haven't been high once. I mean, I just feel my pain.
See, that's important,
release.
Right? That's really important, is that you're taking cannabis as a medicine for pain relief. It's not making you high.
Right.
And that's important for people to understand.
Yes, because I think so many, especially, over 50 or 60 or whatever, they just have this misconception, as did I, as to what marijuana And along with those other words that I used, pot, hash, I don't even know them all.
Ganja, reefer.
Oh, I didn't know. I know reefer. I've heard of reefer before, but I didn't know ganja.
Bang.
Yeah. And, these are my good friends. And my sister I can't say too much about because she doesn't even know I'm using cannabis oil. She would be appalled.
Doesn't?
No.
Oh, gosh.
But
she watches the show, she'll know. Hi, Rosie.
Yeah. Well, and she's got pain. She's got the arthritis and she's got the neck something and the knee something.
But it has improved your health.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Overall.
Oh, yes,
right? Physically, it's helped you. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah, there were times the pain was so bad I just couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And that's upsetting because that's one of the healing
we
things
need
that you
restorative
need.
Sleep is really important for healing.
You
when
need
you
that.
Can't sleep.
Yeah, and just mentally, not just mentally, but mentally also, to not feeling so down, so discouraged, so depressed. When is this ever going to leave?
Yeah, when am I ever going to feel better?
Yeah.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really
Very
depressing.
Very.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, people that are out there that are listening, this is my mother. How old are you, Mom?
Truth?
Yeah.
75.
She's 75 years old. She started using cannabis oil this summer.
Mm-hmm. So at 75.
At 75.
Mm-hmm.
And you're here.
I'm here.
You're driving, you're up, you're out and about.
I'm
you're
back shopping again.
You're back shopping again.
Oh, I couldn't even shop, which was very discouraging and depressing.
And you feel good.
Yeah, I do.
You
I feel good. Yeah, I feel happy. I hated the way I was feeling. I hated being so down and so blue and so
dark and heavy. That's what it when you're feeling that much pain and you're depressed.
I didn't like that at all.
Feel
and
very
oh my
heavy.
gosh, yeah.
You don't, our spirits are supposed to be light.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
my spirit was being
elevate.
Yeah.
So cannabis helps to elevate us a little bit.
Yeah.
The high vibe tribe we call it. And it
I
doesn't
like
have
that.
to be all about getting high, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
It's about feeling good and living our best life. And Mom, I just want to say thank you so much
for
coming.
Thank you, God, for letting her be born to me.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for sharing your story and coming on. And I'm really hoping that what you have to say will reach other people that are out there that need to hear the message that
yes, from
it's
a conservative older woman who in a million years never thought she'd be doing cannabis oil.
Right.
Doing, is that the right word?
Utilizing cannabis oil as a health and wellness tool.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely, darling. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Mamacita.
And I'm so glad you've helped me feel good.
I love you.
I love you too, darling.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is a special episode of Green Nurse, Living Your Best Life, and I'm Sherri Tutkus.